The extraordinary story of a Methodist minister in Portland, Oregon, who recently shared a secret with his congregation that he'd been hiding for most of his adult life. The Reverend David Weekley is transsexual. He was born a girl, but after a difficult childhood, he had gender reassignment surgery. And he joins us this morning exclusively from Portland, along with his wife, Deborah. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Reverend Weekley, let me ask you, I know that you began this transformation at the age of 21, first with hormones and then with surgery. Why did you decide, after keeping this from your congregation for 27 years, to finally reveal the secret during a sermon?
Well, I never viewed it as a secret. I viewed it as part of my private life. I had wondered if there'd ever be a time when it became part of my ministry. And a year ago, I journeyed with a large part of my congregation to a place called Minidoka, which is one of the sites of the Japanese internment camps during World War II. And it was there, listening to stories of people and hearing the power of their story and the healing and the hope that came from sharing story, that I began reflecting about the possibility of sharing my story with them and with other people to provide hope and education.
And I know that you revealed it during a sermon during which I understand congregants were quiet, attentive, and afterwards, what was their reaction?
Well, I was told that afterwards people applauded. I don't remember that. It was a pretty intense time, but they were very supportive. And following the service that day, there were many, many hugs and time for conversation and questions.
Your church does not ban transgender people from joining the clergy, but they do reevaluate their rules every 4 years. Are you concerned that when that reevaluation comes up again, they might take this up and rule against you?
That is a possibility, and it's part of the reason for speaking out and being more public at this time.
Are you okay with being part of a church that does not allow homosexuals to be in the clergy, and you or yourself are not allowed to officiate gay weddings?
I'm not happy with that part of our church, but I've chosen over the years to stay within it, hoping to work for positive change about those kinds of things.
Mrs. Weekley, I'd like to bring you in. You have only known your husband as a man. When did he tell you about the change that he went through, and were you always accepting of it?
He told me about 6 months into our friendship, and I've always been accepting of it, yes.
Never any hesitation? Never questions?
No, David's one of the finest human beings I know, and I've always known him as a man, and he's a wonderful husband and father and an awesome minister, so I've never seen a conflict with it.
A lot of people, though, do wonder why someone would go through something like this. Would you explain, Reverend Weekley, why you decided to make this decision to change?
To change. Well, I never saw it as a decision. From my earliest memories, I always considered myself, felt myself to be a boy, and I use that language because I was a child, and that's the way I describe myself. My self-image was always that of a little boy. That's how I played. Those were my friends. It was only as I grew older that I began to understand there was a difference between how I viewed myself and how the world saw me.
And since you have revealed your truth to everyone, do you feel differently?
I do. There's a lot of a burden off, and I feel like I have more ability to pastor to my congregation and also other people that come to me. I've had so many emails and cards from people all over the country and world saying they would like to return to a spiritual community, and my being out there gives them some hope to do that.
Reverend David Weekley, Deborah Weekley, thank you very much for sharing your story.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.